They called him a glitch, a broken stray in a city that demanded perfection. But when disaster struck, only one imperfect hero could save them all. Witness the heart-stopping story of Static, the cat who defied fate. The broken cat who defied winter. The cat no one wanted. In the quiet town of Frostvale, winter reigned supreme. Streets were glazed with ice, and snow piled high along every curb. To most residents, the town was a picture-perfect scene, but beneath the frozen beauty lived a creature no one wanted to notice, a scruffy calico cat with a jagged ear and a missing tail. Children ran past him without care, sometimes pointing and laughing at his scars. Adults hurried into warm houses, closing doors to avoid his presence. He was labeled bad luck, a stray, a glitch in the town's seemingly perfect order. Yet, despite rejection, the cat moved with grace. His green eyes reflected the dim streetlights as he navigated icy alleyways, paws silent on frost-covered cobblestones. Every step was precise, every movement calculated. He had learned early that survival required awareness. Which dumpsters had warmth? Which vents leaked heat? Which streets were empty after dark? The answers to these questions kept him alive while the town slept peacefully above. Loneliness was constant. He curled beside frozen trash bins, using them as temporary shelters from wind and snow. Sometimes he listened to families laughing inside, feeling the warmth of their voices but never the touch of their hands. Hunger was another companion. He scavenged for scraps of food, bits of bread, discarded meat, or the occasional can of fish left behind by careless residents. Each meal was a small victory, each survival another testament to his resilience. The town's humans never understood him. They saw only imperfections, a broken tail, jagged ear, matted fur, but these imperfections were badges of experience. They told the story of fights with other animals, close calls with machinery, and nights spent surviving alone. Despite it all, the cat never harbored hatred. His heart remained unbroken, his instincts pure. He learned to trust the rhythm of the town, the patterns of snowstorms, the timing of patrols, and the shadows cast by street lamps. In the heart of Frostvale, he was invisible yet omnipresent. He observed from alleys and roofs, always watching, always moving. To the humans, he was nothing. To himself, he was everything. That night, as the cold wind blew harder than ever, the cat sensed something unusual, a faint, broken sound that didn't belong to the storm. A sound that would change everything. A town of closed doors. Frostvale was small, neat, and unforgiving. Every house had its own heater, every family had their warmth, and yet none of them left an open door for the scruffy cat outside. Snowflakes glistened in the lamplight, turning each street into a dazzling yet cruel display. While families sipped hot cocoa inside, he wandered alone, each breath forming icy clouds in the night air. The cat had mapped the town. He knew which streets were safest, which alleys were hidden from human eyes, which roofs offered refuge. Survival demanded mastery of territory, and he had learned it all. He approached a vent near the bakery. Warmth seeped from it, and he curled around it, savoring the heat. His body trembled from both cold and hunger, yet he refused to leave until he had fully absorbed the little warmth he could claim. Night after night, he made this his routine: avoid humans, follow the streets, find warmth, rest, and survive. No one ever noticed him, and yet his eyes recorded every shadow, every movement, every whisper of wind. The cat had become a phantom, a ghost that slipped unseen through the gaps in Frostvale. People often whispered that the town had a bad omen walking its streets, but no one connected it to the small calico. His survival was not just instinct, it was art. He leaped over icy fences, squeezed through narrow gaps between, vanishing into hidden tunnels. Standing alone in the maze, the cat's fur singed slightly from the sparks, his green eyes reflecting the warm glow of safety. For the first time, he realized his role was greater than survival. He was a guardian of the vulnerable, a glitch rewriting the rules of Frostvale. The signal of danger. Back on the surface, the city slept in false serenity. Neon lights glimmered like frozen stars, streets gleamed under a thin layer of ice, and the hum of machines suggested calm. Yet the cat knew otherwise. Danger pulsed beneath the perfect facade. From a high rooftop, he surveyed the city. A red light blinked intermittently from the nuclear reactor's monitoring tower, a signal only someone sensitive to the environment could notice. He narrowed his eyes, the pulse was irregular. Every instinct screamed that something catastrophic was imminent. The cat darted along icy beams and power conduits, moving closer to the tower. Even the wind seemed to shift against him, cold and unrelenting. Arriving at the base of the tower, he found a small crew of engineers, arguing frantically over failing systems. They were oblivious to the severity of the crisis, caught in protocol and panic, incapable of solving the physical problems threatening the city. He hissed and leapt, knocking a control panel off balance. Sparks flew, drawing the engineers' attention to the problem. One of them gasped at the cat, stray, scruffy, and audacious, but ignored him, focused on their terminals. The reactor's alarms had yet to sound. Steam hissed from broken pipes, and the vibrations in the walls were growing. The cat, attuned to the mechanical pulse, realized the automated systems would fail. They could not respond in time. With a flick of his tail, he bolted into the service hatch, climbing the interior shaft toward the reactor's core. Each step was treacherous, every platform wobbled under his weight. Sparks and heat licked his fur, yet he pressed on without hesitation. Above, the engineers noticed a strange pattern on the monitors, the cat moving against the machinery, seemingly understanding the critical points. One whispered, "It's like he knows what to do." Reaching the core's entry hatch, the cat paused. The vibrations were intense now, enough to tear loose panels and cables. He crouched, green eyes glowing, ready for the final leap into the heart of the reactor. With a forceful bound, he entered the core chamber. The machine screamed in overload, alarms blared, and the reactor teetered on the brink of meltdown. The cat, small and flawed, faced the impossible. The city's survival rested on a glitch. The heart of the reactor. Inside the reactor, heat radiated like molten metal, turning the chamber into a living furnace. The air shimmered, pressure built, and sparks erupted from stressed conduits. The cat's fur bristled, but he did not retreat. He approached the main power line, humming with energy that could vaporize anything in contact. His claws scraped against the metal grating, testing the vibrations. Every moment was a calculation, one misstep would mean instant death. Sparks rained from nearby circuits, igniting small fires along insulation strips. The cat lunged forward, dodging hazards with precise leaps and careful paw placements. His green eyes scanned for the critical line controlling the emergency dampeners. There it was, a thin sensor cable, glowing ominously red. Unlike the main line, it could be physically manipulated to trigger a safety override. He crouched, muscles coiled like springs, preparing to risk everything. Time slowed. The reactor's hum became a roar in his ears, smoke curling around him. He bit the cable, teeth gripping metal and insulation. A jolt surged through his body, pain shooting up his spine, but he held on. Sparks froze in the air like fire diamonds. The chamber's lights flickered between red and white. The city above would either survive or burn, dependent on a single act of courage. The cat's muscles burned, his breathing shallow, yet his teeth did not release. His instincts, honed by years of survival, guided him through the pain. Every nerve, every claw, every whisker focused on one task: save the city. Finally, the cable snapped free, triggering the dampeners. Massive rods clanged into place, absorbing the runaway energy. The humming subsided, alarms stopped, and the reactor's core stabilized. The cat collapsed to the floor, fur singed, whiskers missing, and breathing shallow. Silence filled the chamber, broken only by the soft hiss of emergency vents. He had done it, the impossible act of heroism, unnoticed by all but the machines themselves. Slowly, he struggled to his paws, ears twitching. His green eyes met the now stable core, glowing with life. A small meow escaped, a declaration, a triumph, a warning: even the flawed could change the world. The awakening of the hero. The city above remained unaware of the disaster it had narrowly avoided. Neon lights shimmered like calm seas, while streets echoed with artificial perfection. Only one small figure had seen the danger and acted, the scruffy, missing-tailed calico known as Static. He stumbled out of the reactor chamber, fur scorched and whiskers singed, but his green eyes still burned with fierce determination. Each step was labored, his small body bruised and trembling, yet he refused to collapse. Dr. Aries, alerted by the sudden stabilization signals, arrived at the entrance of the core. His eyes widened as he saw the small, battle-worn cat emerge from the smoke and heat. "Static, you did it," he whispered, voice trembling with disbelief. Kneeling, Aries gently lifted the cat into his arms. The heat of the chamber radiated from his hands, but it was nothing compared to the warmth and relief flooding his chest. Tears streaked down his face as he realized the city's survival rested on the courage of a creature the world had ignored. Emergency crews arrived minutes later, clad in heavy suits and scanning for radiation. They froze when they saw the cat being cradled by Aries. One engineer whispered, This cat saved the reactor." Others nodded in awe, the word hero echoing through the sterile corridors. Static's breathing was shallow, but steady. The hum of machinery was replaced by the quiet hiss of safety vents. Dr. Aries stroked the cat's singed fur, murmuring words of comfort. The fragile bond between man and stray had transformed into something unbreakable, a shared triumph against impossible odds. News of the event spread quickly, first among engineers, then throughout the city. Citizens, who had once dismissed the stray as a nuisance, began to leave small offerings at the reactor's entrance, pieces of salmon, warm blankets, hand-drawn tributes. The city council debated erecting a monument, hesitant to acknowledge that perfection had been saved by imperfection itself. Eventually, they agreed on a bronze statue of a calico cat, tailless, eared jagged, green eyes staring defiantly toward the reactor core. Static watched the commotion from a safe distance, perched atop a nearby beam. His small form, bruised but unbowed, reflected in the shimmering chrome of the city. He had become more than a glitch, he was a symbol of courage, imperfection, and resilience. As the sun rose over Frostvale, casting warm light over steel and glass, Dr. Aries whispered to the cat, "You've changed this world, little one. Never forget it." Static purred softly, a raspy, victorious sound, a heartbeat of hope echoing across the city. Legacy of the glitch. Months passed, and Frostvale slowly adjusted to its new reality. Automated protocols were softened, robotic pets were complemented with real ones, and citizens learned to value life beyond perfection. Static's story became a legend whispered in alleys and recounted in schools. The bronze statue in the reactor plaza stood tall, bathed in a soft beam of sunlight every morning. Children touched its tailless back for luck, engineers saluted it on critical days, and city officials used it as a reminder that bravery often comes from unexpected sources. Static himself lived in quiet comfort now. Dr. Aries had retired to a small house on the edge of the city, far from the humming turbines and glowing neon. The cat had a velvet cushion, a warm sunlit garden, and the companionship of the only human who had truly understood him. His scars remained, jagged ear, singed fur, missing tail, but they were no longer marks of shame. They were badges of heroism, proof that even the most overlooked could alter the course of a city. His green eyes gleamed with the wisdom of experience, a quiet testament to survival and courage. Occasionally, Static would wander near the city, observing the bustling streets from a distance. Neon reflected off his fur, yet he no longer feared the gaze of drones or the disdain of citizens. He had earned a place in the heart of Frostvale, a living symbol of imperfection's value. Dr. Aries spent hours recounting the story to visitors, students, and curious engineers. The city was saved not by machines, not by protocols, but by a single stray, he explained, pointing to the cat dozing lazily in the sunlight. Remember that. Never underestimate the overlooked. Years later, when Static grew older and slower, the city never forgot him. The legend of the glitch of Frostvale was immortalized in murals, digital art, and even holographic exhibitions. The story inspired countless citizens to act with empathy, bravery, and creativity in times of crisis. One evening, as the sun set behind the city's towers, Static sat perched on the porch railing, gazing at the reactor from afar. He let out a low, contented meow. The city hummed below, alive and safe, the neon lights no longer cold but warm, as if reflecting gratitude. Dr. Aries, seated beside him with a steaming cup of coffee, murmured, "You've left your mark on this world, old friend. We'll never forget you." Static's tail twitched, the stump a proud emblem of sacrifice and resilience. He had become more than a cat, he was a legend. And in that quiet moment, Frostvale learned a profound truth: perfection was an illusion, but courage, compassion, and imperfection were eternal. The glitch had changed everything, leaving a legacy that would inspire generations to come. If Static's courage inspired you, hit like and subscribe to Pause That Saved Lives. Share in the comments, who is the Static in your life, the unsung hero making the world a better place?